Hi. So yesterday I rode the treadmill using the Wahoo TickrX. That's it right there. In my new running heart rate strap monitor sender unit from Wahoo. I used it to run on Zwift, and I recorded it with RunCline and Zwift simultaneously, and I also exported to the Wahoo Fitness app. But the export to the Wahoo Fitness app did not include any stats other than time and heart rate, and but then if you converted it to imported it as a imported workout, but if you changed it to a running or treadmill, then you would have a bar graph which implied laps, but it didn't really say much else about it, which I'll have to dig through and see if I can find the instructions, because when all else fails, read the instructions. So today I wanted to look at, there it is right there, and I wanted to check out various of the performances. Now, one thing that's really significant here is that here is that piece where we did the calibration. So you can see where I first started running, and then we went to the slow phase, the faster phase, and then I'm like trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing, and nothing was working, and then finally I got into just running. I don't know if you remember that from the video. Check yesterday's video if you don't, if you're having trouble with that. And then of course this is where I switched right here. This part here is where I switched to a 12% incline and just walked out the rest of my workout to get some time and miles in. So I think I turned it off way before most of this though, but I think right about here is where I turned off recording. So there's the heart rate, which is primarily in zone 2 according to Zwift's zones, and then the pace again pretty much in zone 2 for the pace. So I'm going to try something really weird here. Well, first let's look at analyze. Analyze is an interesting statistic here. So with analyze, you see I have a minus 10.33 VPAHR. Now this is an advanced stat in Training Peaks that is only available to paid subscriptions, or if you're working with a coach and you're piggybacked on their paid subscription, which is a possibility. So what this means is that as the run progressed, I actually got more efficient. And if you look at this little band here and how horrible that is, and then minus 112%, that's just horrible. But if we take this little stretch here, where it's all pretty smooth, you'll see that it's only 1.2%, which means that I got 1.2% less efficient over time, which is what you expect from fatigue. Anything over 5% is a fatigue level that implies that your zones need to be adjusted just a little bit, depending on what your training goals are. And that's like way over our heads for today. So let's try this a new thing. So first of all, I'm going to go to FitFile Tools, which you might recall, and I am going to drag in my RunCline file from yesterday, which I uploaded to my computer here. I'm going to strip location, because if you try to import location from RunCline, it screws up everything, and I'll show you the reason. Because it makes this weird like elliptical thing. It depends on which run you're making, how that shape works. And this actually is the Stryd version of this, which has the GPS, the fake GPS signal that RunCline puts in so that it can claim the inclination gain. If you don't have a GPS track, it can't claim inclination, which is one of the problems that sometimes you would have importing to Strava, is that if you have a 0 marker and and the next marker is also a 0 marker, there's no elevation gain. And again, getting way too technical. So we go to FitFile Tools and strip the location. We click Go. And we download the file and go into Training Peaks and Files and Browse Files. And we import it. Now this is going to be weird, and I might end up having to delete this because it may completely jack up everything. Now for one thing, you notice the TSS. Before it had an RTSS, which was based entirely on pace. This is a TSS based on power, which wasn't all that high. Here's now that we've got slightly more accurate power zones from RunCline. The heart rate zone stayed the same. The pace stayed about the same. The map stayed the same. And let's check our stats from the beginning here. What do we got? Okay, let's do a recalculation, because sometimes recalculation will be like, what the heck? Okay, let's do a recalculate, because sometimes recalculate is scary. Okay, so interestingly enough, the RunCline file was not able to add any elevation gain that way. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to see if we can break this. Bear with me. So I am going to go and I am going to delete the fit file tools and watch it go back. Okay, good. It went back to my original and recalculate. Yes. And we're back to 75. Yay! And I'm not chasing TSS. Actually, I am, because I'm trying to be. I need to. Last year at the Broken Arrow Sky Race that I did, I averaged an 80 to 90 TSS. In order to equal that on my event, I'm going to have to try to train at that level. But right now I'm at about 50-ish, so I need to bring it up bit by bit, week by week. So I am kind of concerned that I don't want to get too low, but also don't want to get too high, because it's not. Is difficult. Now, if I just 75 is probably about right, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to attempt to load the original RunCline file and see what it does, because in the past it's jacked up my GPS, and we'll see if they merge the GPS without breaking stuff. So I'm going to do another recalculate, and we are at 39 TSS, so the 39 was legit. The map is correct, and the heart rate, watts, pace, everything looks good. Okay, so it looks like interesting. Looks like no matter how much I import, I'm not going to get my elevation gain, which I guess is just going to be okay. But it does majorly affect the TSS. In a second, when the spinnies are done, which I'm sorry for all the wait and everything, but when the spinnies are done, I'm going to click on the analyze. Well, let's try it anyway and see what happens. And we're at minus 9.74, so it didn't really affect that too badly. And 1.13%, so it's almost irrelevant. But you see, it's interesting here. This section here looks very different than what it did before. Not that that's relevant, because again, see the 1.13%, which looks good, looks legit. So now, cancel. I'm going to bring it open again, and just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and delete the RunCline activity, because it was irrelevant in the big scheme of things, except in the TSS. And if I'm sore and tired after that, it is a 75 RTS. And actually, I did run those paces, so it's a 75 RTSS. Okay. So that's what happens when you run on the treadmill with the TickrX and on Zwift. And I will get back to you with the next event, which I'm not sure quite what I'm going to be doing next, but I would love it if you could subscribe and follow the, watch the rest of the playlist. Watch them all in order, one right after the other. That would be awesome for me. Thanks, and I'm going to try to be awesome for you.